All right, folks, welcome back to Talkin Badgers, and tonight we're jam-packed because we've got the entire gang back together, and just talk about the Badgers win, coming off a solid 23-3 road win over Northwestern, improving to 5-2 on the season. It's 3 wins in a row for the second time in the Luke Fickell era. Momentum is starting to build, starting to see a few signs of consistency here. We're going to break down the keys of the winning streak, what's working on both sides of the ball, and what needs to keep improving. So, let's dive in here. Jay, happy to have you back. You beautiful motherfucker. I want to throw it over to you first. Let's talk offense today. What'd you like?
I think that I clearly in the last 3 weeks they've just really kind of established a little bit of an identity. You and me exchanged some DMs. Phil Longo seems more confident. Like the offensive line seems more confident. They seem like they know what they want to do, and they're establishing the run early and often. Walker is a bell cow for us. Like they're just getting going early, and it's just making, I think, things a lot easier for Braden Locke. And Phil Longo just looks his play calling just seems more confident, and that's what I'm most impressed about. I guess is they're clicking right now.
My thing is like, what took so long though?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think the single most important maybe decision that they'll have made all season from an offensive perspective was just moving off of the committee approach. And obviously nobody wanted, Chez gone or anyone in particular gone. You wouldn't wish injury upon anyone, but you're seeing what Howie Walker can do with these carries and having a guy who can shoulder the load and, quite frankly, more defined roles for guys like Darian Dupree and maybe to a lesser extent, Cade Giacomelli behind him. I think that's been huge for them. I really do.
No, for sure. But also like in the back, I'm like, hey, we're 5-2. Nothing to be, mad about. When we were sitting here 3 weeks ago, world's ending, which I get it. At that point, you had to act like that. But also remember who we've played the last. Like that's what I keep trying to tell myself. Yeah. Like remember who we're playing. And
to be clear, we beat who we were supposed to beat.
Yeah.
And the USC loss looks a lot worse now because they look like trash.
And like moving forward, it gets rough.
Yeah.
And it might not be good.
Stretch, but Iowa's getting everything that they can handle from MSU right now. They're still losing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Iowa's not who we thought they were.
You can be happy with how the offense, and for the most part, looked today. I agree with Dylan. The biggest thing was just killing the running back committee. Feed the big dog. He has 20 carries each of the last 3 games, correct?
Something like that. Close to it, if not.
The results are there. Like I said, I know who we're playing, but still he's producing when we're getting this guy the ball and letting him kind of get in a flow. Running backs like him, they need that. They're not the, big boom guys where, hey, on 8 touches, this guy could break open the game. He's the guy he needs is 15 to 20 touches to really get going. One thing I didn't love, third down efficiency.
Wasn't great.
4 and 12 on third down. Not good. Another thing I didn't love offensively, and Ryan, I think it was, I don't know if you tweeted it or if it was in the DMs, when we punted the ball again on the opponent's side of the 50, and they're lucky as fuck it worked out.
Because Atticus Bertram is a fucking weapon.
Yeah, and it was a hell of a punt, and then we got the turnover. That was stupid. You don't do that. You have to go for that, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. I'll have a little if we get to special teams later and coaching and management later. I got something for that. But I think when you're looking at the offense, like it comes back to look who's playing. Like, you moved off the committee approach, but when Locke is out there and he's getting reps, I think a lot of times like we forget that, yes, Jay, like you said, 100% that you got to factor in who you're playing, no doubt. I don't care if we are playing ITT Tech and Herzing. You beat them how you were supposed to beat them. We've been asking for this for 17 games before they went on this streak. Like, you didn't beat Buffalo like this. You didn't beat Western Michigan, South Dakota, Georgia Southern. Even some of those teams.
Georgia Southern, Sun Belt.
Well, yeah, I know you and your Sun Belt. But even Indiana last year, who reminds you, got like, yes, Indiana's buzzing now, but that's a new coach. Like, they literally got a coach fired like 4 weeks after they beat us. So to show that where the Wisconsin program was is you still get fired even after you beat Wisconsin. Like usually like that's a pretty big win that like can save some people's jobs. some would even say gets to, I think someone calls it East Dakota. That gets East Dakota head coaches contract extensions. So the fact that they beat Wisconsin and then still can their guy kind of shows where we were at. And we lost to them. We lost to Northwestern at home. So the fact that even if it's never too little too late, it was late. It's good it's here. And now we just got to keep it rolling.
I think that's exactly it. I mean, we haven't been, I mean, they're showing signs of improvement, and we're starting to reestablish our floor, because I think we were, or at least I was pretty concerned about what that was, because Wisconsin is a school that we have to beat, teams like this, convincingly, and we need to be able to show up and play, tougher, higher ranked opponents, tough. And I was getting to a point where I didn't think that was going to be possible anymore. But we're seeing signs of what feels like sustainable growth. And I don't think any one of us is sitting here saying that, like, we're all the way back or anything, but like it's 3 games in a row, and it's
a lot of texts, man.
You haven't seen my DMs.
It's reason to be excited, because we're actually seeing growth. And I think, in some of the wins that we had seen spanning the last year and a half, we didn't always leave those wins with the biggest smiles on our faces. And this is starting to feel good again.
Yeah. I got two things I want to close. Like, I think, like you said, Ryan, I think it's fair to acknowledge that, like, we're not playing the best. The last 3 games haven't been against the best opponents, but exactly like you said, we've been clamoring for this for every game that we played. Like, just dominate these teams, or like win the games that you're supposed to win. So now, like, I think we can be happy with that. Like that, like, and then I forgot what I was going to say after that. So you go crazy.
Sometimes I just, start a sentence. I don't even know where it's going.
Hope to find it along the way.
Hope to find the words along the way.
My biggest thing too is the last 3 weeks, like, where the game's won and lost, the trenches. The big boys have showed up to play. We can get to the defense later. I thought the D-line played a lot better today. But I mean, our offense line is dominating people right now.
So that's what you reminded me of. It's like, I don't think when we went to this coaching change that we expected there be as big of a drop off offensively from the offensive line standpoint as there was. And I feel like now, over the last few games, they've really gotten back to that identity where, like, this offensive line looks like a Wisconsin offensive line from 5 years ago.
And
like,
Northwestern have a very formidable defensive line. It's not like we're going against slouches here. So I love that.
They have a terrific run defense, and Wisconsin ran for 199,
baby.
They did their thing. He did some nice things.
I like him a lot.
We're praising the running game a lot here, and the offense line, rightfully so. Braden Locke still left a lot to be desired.
So that's one of the things I wanted to touch on. Braden Locke was a lot closer to the Braden Locke that we've seen maybe, prior to the previous 2 starts. It was pretty lackluster, and, in every start he's made this year, he's turned the ball over, and that's a bit of a problem. Like, I'm willing to sacrifice, some interceptions to push the ball. I think that's really important in this.
You're going to get that.
The interception today, man, what the fuck? Like,
almost 2.
Just throw it away, dude. Live for the next down. Like, throw the ball away.
That one was brutal, but I don't know. I still am not sure who Braden Locke is, but I do think that he is.
I think we kind of know who he is right now. And I've been a big believer in Braden Locke, but I think we know who he is. He's a guy. He's 1B for a reason. He was 1B for a reason. But whatever, we're winning games with him, and we'll see. I mean, he's aggressive. I love that. But
he doesn't have to he doesn't have to walk out of a game with 250 passing yards and 2 touchdowns for us to win. He just needs to be serviceable, and I think today that's all the more he was. But as long as we're running the ball, then whatever.
That throw to Williams, that Williams should have caught that. What would have been touchdown. That was an absolute fucking double cheeker by 100%. Braden Locke. So you hate to see that go unnoticed on the stat sheet, because then all of a sudden he's 15 for 25, like 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then interceptions, maybe doesn't look so bad, but that was a hell of a ball. CJ Williams, you got to make that play.
Did you see somebody tweeted out that Locke said that was his first touchdown pass from under center since probably Pee Wee football.
Really?
Yeah.
I believe it.
Touchdown to Ashcraft. Yeah, he's like he hasn't thrown a touchdown pass from under center since maybe Pee Wee football. He didn't even. He said he
Which did what happened to the game I love, bro.
Yeah, right.
You catch how heavy he was backpedaling on that one? I thought he was going to fall backwards before he took that football.
Yeah, he had to heave it just to get it back to the line of scrimmage. I think if you look at Braden Locke, though, it's like I agree. Like the answer is always somewhere in the middle, right? It's never going to be as good and it's never going to be as low. I think we know what Braden Locke is at this point. Yes, against some teams he may go quote unquote go off, but if you look at some of the most successful Badger teams, absent a Russell Wilson year, absent a really good Rose Bowl Tolzien year, he's not really that far off than like a normal Badger starting quarterback. We've never really had any game changers. So I think kind of back to Dylan's point, like if you get back to where that floor is, and now you can start to infuse more talent, more scheme, more development, more pedigree, I think that's where you can kind of make that jump. Because when we get those Badger quarterbacks in there, like if you look, and I will die on the Joel Stave is the GOAT hill, and not because he's the most talented, but I will die on that hill. But it took him so long to get to where he was, where it's like in that that bowl game against USC, like that was like what, start 40. And I would say right now, Locke is probably talent wise very similar to where he's at start 40.
Dude, I'm sorry. Joel Stave got the yips, dude. What are we fucking talking about? Goats.
And still the all-time winningest quarterback.
He got the yips.
He had
I can't with that.
That could be an off-season show.
But Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. What are we doing here?
He had 3 head coaches, still the winningest quarterback in all program history. So
we'll table that for the offseason. I'll mediate it like it was a Tony Reale and fucking around the horn. We'll 3
NFL running backs.
I'll just laugh my ass off at both of you.
But anyway, if you look at his stats, Stave was like a normal, and like I said, we can have that. Obviously, Dylan can mediate that. But if you look at his stats, he was always around like 58, 60%, 1-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. That's about where Locke is. So if you're going to put up more volume, you're going to have more chances to score. So I think if getting like literally back to the point of if this gets back to our floor, if Locke can elevate, we can have a better quarterback in Locke than we've probably had since Russell Wilson and Scott Tolzien. And if you recruit to replace, which most coaches do, like they're saying, I'm going to recruit someone to take your job. It's your job to keep it. You keep stacking that. I think that's where the development and the growth is going to come from. He's going to have to earn his job. Like if you bring Mabry clicks and he pops and he's ready to go for next year, Locke's not just going to play because he's older.
Well, and that's the thing with the portal too, is like, even if you exit this season feeling like Braden Locke is, probably your guy, or, we'll take Tyler Van Dyke out of the equation here. They're coaching for their jobs always. And so you're going, like, whether or not, publicly reports are coming out that they're looking to the portal. Like, let me tell you, they're looking in the portal.
Oh yeah.
Because
if they're not doing their job
to not do it, so yeah. They're always going to be looking, like you said, to stack talent, but as long as we can reestablish that floor, like 3 weeks ago, I was afraid that we were slipping potentially into that bottom tier of the Big Ten, maybe one of the bottom like 4 to 5 teams. And I think we can comfortably say that's not the case. And, we'll get to defense here in a second. Obviously, if you guys have any closing thoughts on the offense, I want to make sure we get to those. But, I think part of why we're reestablishing that floor is what's happening on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the offense, I would like to see Tretch get more touches. I feel like we say that every week, but I mean, other than that, yeah, run the damn ball.
I appreciate that they're getting Tretch the ball on a couple carries, different things like that.
Yeah, Vinny Anthony even too. I thought they did a much better job of actually trying to get their playmakers the ball.
Yeah,
in ways other than
absolutely. I mean, Vinny he's a legitimate playmaker in this offense, and I don't want to call the guy a one-trick pony, but you found another way to get him the football. He's not someone who, like, before the game, I'm putting in my player prop bets, and they had Vinny Anthony sitting at 2.5 catches, and I was like, that's the number.
Yeah, that's exactly.
That's
these
the number.
guys know what they're doing.
Yeah. So I can't bet on Vinny.
If he catches a touchdown, then absolutely. But otherwise, I have no idea.
Exactly. But Vinny is a weapon, and he's somebody who, when he does get it in short yardage situations, I appreciate that dude puts his fucking foot in the ground and goes north south like right away. And I think that Tretch is able to make people miss when he's got a little bit of space. I appreciate that it feels like people are settling into roles right now, and they're far more intentional in how they're manufacturing touches. I can live with things if they don't look perfect, but I see what they're trying to do, and that's the first time, prior to this 3-game stretch, that's the first time the Luke Fickell, Phil Longo era I've been able to see the vision, and I finally see what they're wanting to do.
But like to circle back to like the offensive game plan, like what took so long? Like that's what still makes me question some of the coaching. Is like
That's
what took so long to get here?
I don't think that we can discount like a confidence thing just because like I said this today when I'm watching the game too. And like when we get into the red zone, it looks like Phil Longo can do absolutely whatever he wants to do. Like he's like, oh, I want Tucker Ashcraft to score. We're going to run Tucker Ashcraft today. Or I'm just going to have Walker pounded in and he's going to score. I'm going to give
Yakimelli on the one.
Yeah, pitch to Yakimelli. Like,
love that. That was a terrific use of personnel.
That is one thing I think over the last 3 games, and again, opponent's bad, but the red zone efficiency has been really, really good in the last 3 games, and that's going to go a long way if they can keep that up.
How much do you put on experience? Because I feel like last year a lot of the disconnect almost seemed like the shots that even Locke is taking, like even last week when he threw one, kind of just a he down there somewhere ball, and it was just easily picked off. Like Mordecai would not throw those last year.
No.
So it's like you're not really opening up anything underneath where Locke he's very good at intermediate when it's obviously not tipped. I feel like just taking those, I mean, it seems easy enough because we all clamored for it last year. Like just throw the ball down the field to loosen it up. But I feel like they're making a genuine concerted effort. And I feel like maybe this is part of where Longo gets back to when he always says he's a playbook savant. Like being able to do that, because Jay, to your point, where it's like he's just drawing stuff up for everybody. If you don't have a quarterback that can process and get your personnel checks and get you lined up correctly and make sure you're not in illegal formations and make sure everyone knows their play, because like, yeah, he's getting it called in through the headset, but everyone else is still getting it hand signaled in because they don't have mics in their headphones. So it's like you can't just do that like day one install. Like, hey, let's do this and backpedal, and you're gonna have to buy yourself time. Like you have to rep that. And I feel like last year he came in and Locke only came in for Iowa, Iowa, Indiana, and then was back to the bench or something. So it's like he didn't really get a lot of time to like grow with his playmakers outside of practice. And then this year he's thrown in against Bama and then has to start on the road at USC. Like I feel like he needed some of those scrubs. He didn't get to play against Buffalo. He didn't get to play against Western Michigan, South Dakota, Georgia Southern. So it's like every team he's had to learn against is a top 10 defense in the country.
Yeah, I mean, and like Jay said,
I've never thought about Ryan. That's a great point.
Confidence is a hell of a drug, and I think that this team's high as fuck right now because things are finally going the right way, and it's really refreshing. And gonna turn the page here because I think part of why they are playing so well is that Mike Tressel's defense has allowed 16 points in the last 3 games. Held each of those opponents under 300 yards. Those are all Big Ten opponents. Each of them have been held under 10 points for the first time since 2021. Northwestern had 209 total yards today. Obviously, Lausch is a shitty fucking quarterback. I got to get out ahead of that one.
Oh, but he's a great athlete. Remember, he's a great athlete. Great athlete.
Yeah. And maybe in the offseason they can find him a better position because he threw for 82 yards today.
He used to play H-back, dude.
But the defense, they held Northwestern. Northwestern was 2 of 14 on third downs today. Like Mike Tressel's got them turning a corner, and anything we say can be, with the caveat opponents. But right now they're handling the business in front of them, and the defense is really coming together. And I think maybe the encouraging part is it's not one guy who's just game wrecking. Like, last year we'd see Hunter Wohler flying around and, Rico, taking the ball away, but like, this feels like a unit. Like there's not one guy who's just doing it alone or a couple guys. Like people are showing up at different moments, and I don't know if they're getting the damn thing done.
Yeah, together everyone achieves more.
Fuck you.
What they tell me.
Once again, remember who we've played the last 3 weeks. He still needs to take that damn vest off, dude. That shit irritates me. We're not. Yeah. Anywho. But remember who we played. I will say I'm with you, Dylan. The defense has been great the last 3 games. You can't take that away from them. You only play who's on your schedule. D-line, I feel like it's been a little more impactful, but one thing that still does concern me, Northwestern, Lausch was 9 for 24 throwing the ball for 82 yards, and we still gave up 127 yards at 4.1 yards per carry. Like, they can't throw the ball, and we're still giving up. Yeah, they had 31 carries for 127 yards, 4.1 a carry, and only along a 29. So it's not like they busted off an 80-yard run to juice those numbers. So that still worries me a little bit.
You got to consider too the game script. Like Northwestern was gonna be throwing, so much more. I mean, obviously, you can obviously use context in any capacity you want to paint your picture, but I didn't look at the run D today as something that concerned me all that much.
It just concerned me because we're playing Northwestern, and moving forward, it's like, okay.
Yeah, I would say that I get the success that they've had the last 3 weeks, but there's a little dog right next to me. But I am not super confident. Like, I think the opponents are just way different the next few weeks. Like,
oh, for sure.
I mean, we're facing some. I guess Drew Aller's not all that great, but I just feel like Penn State is going to be a tough opponent. Like, and our D line is definitely the weakest point of the defense. So stopping, like Hoop said, we didn't really stop the run all that well against Northwestern, and then fortunately we had a lead, so they kind of had to abandon that. Like, somebody like Penn State's not going to abandon that, and down the road, Iowa's not going to abandon that. Oregon's just got a good mobile quarterback, like a lot of playmakers. So
that game's going to be ugly.
I'm pretty nervous and hesitant to be like we're back on defense for sure. I think I'm more confident right now at this point in the season on where the offense has gone than I am where the defense has. But that being said, the last 3 games, the defense pretty much played, I don't know, somewhat perfect, I guess you could say. Like, their statistics over the last 3 weeks are something that you have to acknowledge.
Yeah, and I think it doesn't matter who you're playing. Like, we always keep coming back to those 3 opponents because we'd be doing a disservice to our listeners.
It's because we know what's ahead.
Exactly. So it's like, just to remind everybody.
100%. But even when you brought up the point when you said 16 points, sometimes I think we just kind of gloss over that. Like, if you break it down to a 3, I even did the math. I did the hard math on the calculator here. 5.3 points per game in 3 games. Like that. I don't care who you could play the International School of the Blind. If you're only giving up 5 points a game to the Big Ten in 3 games, when you see everyone in the conference can essentially beat everyone, it's like we don't even know who's good at this point. But to Coop's point, when he says that it might get ugly versus Oregon, I'm calling first. We're beating Oregon. 100%.
I think we're beating Penn State.
We're beating, but I want on the record that I don't think we're beating either of them.
Oregon, dude, give me whatever the highest amount of the alternate spread they let me put on Oregon. Give me that.
Okay, we'll have to have a side bet too. I think the thing is that I've been trumpeting for a while, even on the Discord and then DM. The thing I've been trying to say is Penn State, it's a night game. The boys can get up for Penn State. The boys can get up for Oregon. My biggest litmus test left on this schedule is how are they going to do against Iowa? Because Iowa is tried and true every year. They're a crappy offense, very good defense. Now, they don't have Cooper DeJean or Riley Moss or Lucas Van Ness, but how they do against Iowa would tell me, A, what I need to know about this defense is this season. It's going to tell me about the system as a whole going forward, because we see it can work against bad teams. Can it work against a physical outfit like Iowa? Like today, we were talking about on the line of scrimmage, Northwestern. I've always kind of looked at Northwestern the last few years outside of when they have Clayton Thorson and Trevor Siemian. They're very much like an Iowa light. They don't have the athletes or they don't have the skill and whatever you could say about Iowa for their defense.
They got a bunch of smart guys.
Well, they're smart. I mean,
the offensive line is usually a bunch of trash cans full of dirt. Guys, you're just not fucking moving.
Bingo. But that's the thing is they're so much similar to Iowa. It's seeing them play Northwestern and it's 23-3. I'd like to see what it is against Iowa, because in the last 2 games against Iowa, both with Jim Leonard and Luke Fickell, which understandably 2 different coaching regimes, were averaging 8 points per game against Iowa. So can our offense, can it play against Iowa? When you play a night game at Penn State, we could score 10 or we could score 30. To me, that's not a huge litmus test. It's what version of the team are you going to play against? What version of Penn State? How are they going to play against Iowa? But for me, I think the boys are going to show up next week. I got 10-2 for the rest of the year. I'm all the way back, but
I can't with this guy, dude.
I want to go back now on what I said. I'm not back anymore.
Yeah, I'm going to stay on the pay as you go plan with this team. I'm going to take them week.
Yeah, I'm week by week, brother. I'm living paycheck to paycheck with this team.
I'm fine with that too, and I think that would beat Penn State. After I don't know about 10.
No.
I want that. I do want to say I agree with you, Ryan, on the Iowa take. Like, last year, Coop and I drank far too many beers for the Wisconsin-Iowa game. And when Iowa ripped off that touchdown run to go up 7, we both looked at it like, it's fucking over. There's no way we're getting 7 points. Like, that's it. But I agree.
You think we beat the number 3 team in the nation, dude?
I don't think Penn State's actually the number 3 team in the nation.
Obviously, we've had a favorable stretch here. I don't know how much y'all read into the JP poll. That's probably the one that I give the most credence to. But Oregon is number 4 in that. Penn State is 9. Iowa is 17. So we're gonna find out a lot about.
And we were 25, aren't we?
We were 19 this last week.
Oh,
so we're right there. The model's showing some Luke Fickell some love right now.
Dude, and talking about beating Oregon, I love Rico. I love our D-backs. Tez Johnson about to give us some problems, and we can talk about that in a few weeks. But
yeah, I'm just curious who the Idaho's corners are.
I don't give a fuck.
Don't worry, I'll wait.
You think I know who Idaho's corners are?
They gave Oregon a game, dude.
They beat Ohio State. They beat Boise, who might make the playoff.
Ryan, do you remember a couple of weeks ago against Western Michigan where if we didn't get a lucky punt, we were getting buried by Western Michigan in the opener?
I was there. I remember.
Dude, I was there at the South Dakota State game, and I'm like, man.
So we can't be throwing rocks inside of our glass house.
We're back, boys. We're so back.
But that's what I'm saying. If we're going to say that about Western Michigan, where we can't throw rocks in our glass house, we also can't think that they're some world beater. Is Oregon good? Yes. But my point is it's on the road. And the boys will get up for that game. That's why I'm saying Iowa's the litmus test. You play Oregon, whether it's at 9 o'clock in the morning and it's here or it's in a Piggly Wiggly parking lot, the boys will get up for that game. Will you get up for an outfit that you know that is going to fight you? That's why I think Oregon, welcome to the Big Ten. You got Ohio State, you had game day, you had all that stuff. You don't think the boys were buzzing for that? They're going to come into Madison, whether it's a night game or not, and think they're going to roll over. That's going to be our Super Bowl. If we beat Penn State, I bet you change your tune a little bit about the Oregon game.
Yeah, did you think that about the Alabama game too?
What part?
The boys will get up for this game.
They did get up. They just weren't good enough.
That's what is going to be. Okay. Rinse and repeat, brother. Rinse and repeat. We can talk about this later. Let's celebrate the win, goddammit. I don't need to get angry. Let's celebrate the win.
You need to celebrate the win.
Well, I know.
I'm celebrating. I've celebrated so much. I'm on 10-2.
Yeah.
One player on defense in particular that I want to show at least a little bit of love to, because I don't think he's had a good year whatsoever, is Jake Chaney. I thought that he made a few plays today, which I was really happy to see, because he's someone who's playing a hell of a lot of snaps right now for somebody who I don't feel has been overly impactful. Obviously his leadership is important to this team. Even Jaheim Thomas too had a couple of moments today, but the defense, I want more Christian Allegro, man. I just continue to think I would rather live with his mistakes, just the way that guy flies around. I was really happy to see Chaney and Thomas play a really, really solid game, but I want more Christian Allegro. He's just a dynamic athlete that I feel like in a defense like this, where we, want athletes, want a little bit more length and athleticism, I think he gives you exactly that. The guy fucking flies.
Dude, and that hit he had on Lausch, that was a clean hit. I don't know what Northwestern was doing there.
Don't be wrong. If you're a lineman, you better call.
If you're a lineman, you have to catch your quarterback.
Right, you got to be there. But when everyone else was stepping, I'm like, okay,
yeah,
right. He was super in bounds.
Number 6 got that. I think he got the penalty, but he's a wide receiver or a running back.
Get on the stat sheet. He wasn't catching balls. So
yeah,
put me on the stat sheet for a penalty.
was like, dude, he was inbounds, man. Like, what?
And why is he jumping?
At one point in time, they like recapped it was like a third down, and they said something about they like showed Jake Chaney on like a spy, and he literally just didn't move at all. He just like sat in his drop.
He was in his
quarterback moved like 2 steps up in the pocket and threw it away or something. And they're like, they got Jake Chaney on a spy. And I was like, spy? I don't know if that was a spy, but that made me the whole
he was
time.
stuck in the
Why are they
mud.
spying with Jake Chaney? It's not like
The controller was disconnected.
Yeah.
Not who I want to be like sideline to sideline spying somebody. That's where I'm like, why is Allegra not in there, or even tag practice or something like that? For if you're going to be spying a quarterback, get in a freak athlete to do it. No disrespect, but not Jake Chaney.
I was glad to see John Pius is still alive today.
Yeah. I wrote something this week about maybe the Badgers wanting to invest some money in putting a missing sign on the side of a milk carton.
Yeah, dude, we need to put an APB out for John Pius, bro.
So it was really good to see that strip sack. That was big. Obviously, our boy Elijah Hills dives on that. That was horrible coaching at the end of the half.
Horrendous.
What was that?
Horrendous coaching. That was like the Bills when they lost to the Texans. It was that bad of coaching.
Yeah, it was honestly very, very similar vibes there.
Like, dude, just run the ball, man.
Sebastian Cheeks he had the safety.
Yes,
he's come on the last.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to bring him up because he's someone who obviously late in camp moves over really out of necessity. Like he was buried on the depth chart at inside. They had a need at the outside, and
he played well.
He was very complimentary of him even in fall camp with like the limited time he's had. He continues to pop. Like they need someone a little bit more dynamic, and he's showing up. He's showing up every week doing something. And him and Kurt Neal getting a safety, that was awesome. But yeah, Sebastian Cheeks is someone who I wouldn't mind seeing continue to see his role elevate a little bit each week.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean,
it just hasn't been anything to write home about as a whole.
No, and we knew that though after about week 1.5. Like, these transfers we got. Maybe there's a reason these guys are transferring. Like maybe there's a reason you played at William and Mary.
Yeah, I like Cheeks coming off the edge, and like you said, if he could pop, nothing better than popping Cheeks. But I think when Allegro hit that guy, like. I've been asking for 17, basically since the Paul Christ era, can we have a little bit of piston or vinegar to us or a little bit of edge to us? And the fact that he just hit that guy and was like, say something about it, like that was like the pure definition of fuck around and find out. Because at the end of the day, that dude was still in bounds and they were still crying about it, but he did not care. He hit the quarterback. He could not care. If you're on the field of play,
yes,
better buckle up that chin strap. And I like that because so often guys would just be like, oh, he's going out of bounds and maybe just kind of like ride him out a little bit. Nah, if you're on the field of play, you better buckle up. Like,
yeah.
I like that. I like that edge to him. I like that they kind of got in a little bit of scuffle. I was fine if the boys got a retaliation 15-yarder just to offset, just to show some, we're about it. But we didn't get that far. But I like that they were all kind of in the mix. Like I like seeing the guys have a little edge to them like that.
No, I love that little scrum. Like Dylan said, I mean, was it unnecessary? Yes. But if you're an offensive line, like, dude, if someone hits my quarterback like that, like, I don't care if it was legal or not, we're fighting.
Oh, 100%. But also, when they watch film on Monday or tomorrow, whenever they watch it, they've got to ask their quarterback, why are you jumping in the air, bro?
Exactly.
Why didn't you actually go out of bounds? Why did you leap while still in?
Yeah.
That made it like 10 times worse.
That was stupid. In real time, I thought Allegro laid the fucking wood. I had a tweet typed out and I
barely touched him.
And they showed the replay and I was like, no, that dude jumped in his ass. And I was like, delete that.
I'm right there with you. I thought he smoked him too, but I was even more impressed after seeing it, not because it wasn't a big hit, but the fact that he jumped going out of bounds and he still hit him anyway. Like, oh well. Like, yeah, I didn't hit him hard, but it's like he could have just let him go, and he didn't. I like that.
I mean, he's the most of the snaps he's got.
That quarterback's foot was very firmly in the field of play before he even when the contact was made. Like you couldn't even kind of spin it as a late hit or.
And even if it was at that point in the game, I'm here for it. The quarterback wants to run around all game. Let him feel it. Like I'm okay with that. If you're up 23-3, I'm okay giving 15 free ones to set a tone.
So I got a question here for everybody. Didn't prep anyone for this. Just want to go scale 1 to 10. Coop, I'm going to start with you. What is your confidence in this coaching staff? This involves Luke Fickell and both of his coordinators as it stands today, moving forward for the rest of the season.
4.
Okay. Jay?
4? I want to be clear that when the last time I was on a podcast, probably 6 months ago at this point.
Yeah, how was Nairobi?
Good. Been doing some missionary.
Oh, have you?
Amen, brother.
Dude, invite me next time, dog.
But I said that I just think that they need more time. Like, as I know nobody wants that, but I'm at like an 8.
Like that's a loaded question, kind of, because like my confidence for Fickell, I'm probably with Jay, like 7, 8. Longo, it's been better. 3.
Oh, I'm
like I don't know.
Can I ask some clarifying questions though? Like I'd like to ask
because
No,
that's the whole point of this. It could because
it's in game or just in general though.
I'm just saying in general for the rest of this season.
10-2.
You aggregated
10-2, buddy.
You already called
10-2. How's your answer about it, buddy?
Whoa. Hey, they don't play the game. Let's just remember. Yes, 10-2, but those boys don't play
players in the best positions though to win the game.
Yeah, but okay.
We're supposed to.
So I'm supposed to take all 3 and give just one score.
Yep, your collective confidence level in this coaching staff to navigate the rest of the season.
I would probably say 6 because I'd probably take Fickell an 8, Tressel a 6, Longo a 4, and whatever that average is.
To me. Longo might be the highest one for me.
I'm no math magician, so I can't do that.
Longo's the highest one for you?
What
Go
have
back
you
to
seen the last
Nairobi, bro.
3 weeks that you don't like?
Dude, Africa changed you, bro.
Never even been to Africa.
You were just in Nairobi.
You went to missionary.
No, I went and did missionary.
In Kama Sutra.
Oh, her name was Nairobi. Okay.
I think that's a snap reaction. I think that's the numbers we would have to give. I would love to at another point like go more in depth on like game operations management.
Yeah, I just like to me the biggest thing with Longo is once again look at who we've played when our offense has done better. I mean, the first 4 weeks it was the same shit as last year. Like, what are we doing here? Basically, watching this offense, and he and rightfully so. I was one of them. It's like, do we have to fire this dude as our offensive coordinator 4 games into the season?
We're going to learn exactly who he is here during this stretch because, they're going like the offense is very clearly moving in a positive direction. And again, I think my biggest thing with the offense as a whole is just see what they want to do. There are finally people in roles rather than just throwing shit at the wall and hoping something sticks. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, but if they can come out and be competitive against, an Oregon, against a Penn State, and we're seeing some of these similar signs on offense, I'll feel a lot more confident overall. I think for me, the biggest turning point on the offense was simply just scrapping the committee. I don't think anybody could possibly get into any sort of rhythm when you've got that many people. When you've got that many people that you're trying to get touches for. So
I just
I'm going to wait and see on it.
I just don't like when Ryan, it's fair, but when we're saying when we win ugly in those first 2 weeks or whatever, and we're super disappointed because we're not dominating and blowing them out. And then we just dominate pretty much from start to finish for the next 3 weeks. And we're still not happy about it. We're still not I think that earns some confidence.
I'm skeptical. I'm happy. I'm just skeptical.
But I think how does that not earn any more confidence? If you're disappointed that they didn't win prettier before, and now they're winning pretty, and you're just still not confident, what can he do?
Well, I don't know if we're winning pretty. We're winning.
The last 3 weeks.
The 2 weeks before this, I agree with you, Jay. I see your point too, and I'd be a hypocrite to do that, but I've been called worse things. But I think when I look at it though, I really have to get back to the Iowa thing because if we play Penn State, hypothetically, we play Penn State, we come out and we lose by 21. We're gonna say, oh, they were number what, Dylan, 3 in those rankings, blah blah blah. But how do you play when you play Iowa? Like, we can look at Purdue. Like, Purdue is dog shit. Northwestern is hammered dog shit. Who else was it? Rutgers lost to UCLA. Like, at some level, I get what we're saying. Like, it looks good. But I would, if Rutgers had to play Western Michigan right now, I probably would pick Western Michigan. But so it's like, for me, it's when we weren't winning pretty, we were upset. But I think it gets back to the execution. How does it look? Are we developing? Like when Dylan said earlier that it looks like we're growing, we're getting better, we're improving. Like that first game looked like a continuation of the Northwestern Indiana stretch last year to start the season. So this 3-game sample size, well, it's important, and I'm super happy. So much so that I went 10-2, and maybe that's just because this edible is just barking. And some
barking up the wrong maple, brother.
That's right, dude.
Maybe that might be it, but I just look at it like, let me see how they do against, like, so when you ask me what do I think they could do for the end of the year, and I give you my number, the reason I'm still lower on Longo is because they're not playing those top defenses that they've played in the past. Alabama or USC is whatever they are, but they've got dudes and athletes on their side. South Dakota, everybody says the Dakotas are good defensive teams. Western Michigan played a very good defensive plan. He got it going against scrubs. Like, will this offense work against teams that maybe aren't Bama or necessarily Penn State, but like, can you handle Iowa? Nebraska got the wheels beat off of them today, but like, they're still going to play better defense in Lincoln than they played whatever they did today. So it's like, are you going to be able to show it during then? So like, I'm high on Tressel because teams that are very good at running the football, he showed up. Like Rutgers, that's what they do. That Monungai, that's what they run the ball. Northwestern, they have a pretty decent running game. They got 4.1. Yes, they like to throw the ball, but they like to, but they're not good at it. Is two different things. So it's like he's really looking pretty good on that, but it's like, how is it going to progress as the year goes? I'm higher on Tressel because he's averaged 5.33 points per game over the last 3 games, where Longo, it's like
what's Longo average over the last 3 games?
Scoring. But also,
no, I want to know the answer because if you're going to use the logic,
give me 52. What was the other one? 40 something.
Dylan, I want to know while Ryan's doing math, what's your number?
It's my number 6. I'm not willing to go higher than that. Part of that is, I keep saying that I having a hard time buying in because they've shown me over far too large of a sample size who they are, but they are starting to change that narrative. And with the changes that they're making, I feel like do look more sustainable. And so for that, my confidence meter is swung, into fair territory here. I'm gonna give them a 6 again, and it's to navigate this season because I'm not somebody who I don't need them to win 8 games. I don't think they will win 8 games. I don't even.
I'm still trying to find where we win our 6th game. And
I'm not that low by any means anymore because they're a few weeks ago I was there, but I'm just gonna leave it at a 6. I think I have confidence, and there's plenty of opportunity for this team, to go out and get a signature win under Luke Fickell. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities ahead that they're not going to be favored in, and I'm really excited to see. Because they you look back at Ohio State last year, and no, we weren't ever going to win that game, but we went into the fourth quarter. We went into the jump around with a football game on our hands, and that's what I want to see. I want them to make these teams sweat, and I can live with it if they don't win. But as long as I can give them a game, I will continue to have confidence in what these guys are doing.
Yeah.
And for me, I finally feel like the floor is being reestablished, and we can get back to maybe trying to chase some ceiling, for the rest of the year. There's opportunity there. They can.
I'm being super negative, but if we beat Penn State, Iowa, or Oregon, which I don't think we will, but if we do, I'll change my tune quite a bit.
We back. We up.
Yeah. We coming.
All right, Jay. So I did a little math for you. So
That took a while, dude.
well, I got more numbers.
Excel can do that shit for you in like 3 seconds,
I was
bro.
gonna say it's like 3 numbers.
I had to look up some more stuff. I wanted to get you accurate.
Who can back this up? I almost failed math my junior year. Like I was down to the final test. I'm no good at this shit. And I think I could have done it pretty quick.
Hey, but I was also doing other things here. Just
Okay.
Listen to my numbers before you make
Bear
fun.
with you.
Let him cook.
So the reason I say that I'm happy but not overreacting to the first 3 games is entering this last 3 game stretch. We had averaged 21.5 points per game. That is 2 points lower than last year's 20-year historic low through 4 games. So I can't just forget the 4 games that started the season or the entire season last year, which was dog shit.
Well, I'm not looking in the past. I'm in a growth mindset.
And that's fine. But if you look at the last 3 games,
That's why we love Jay. We need this.
Jay loses the whole person and becomes a philosopher, dude.
he goes to Nairobi for missionary one time.
Yeah.
Imagine what happens when
That
he goes
shit'll
to
change
Kenya.
you.
Imagine when he goes to Kenya for doggy style. So the last 3 games,
Nairobi's the capital of Kenya, brother.
same thing. I didn't. Hey,
Geography back of the week.
That's
You're the
geography.
geography guy.
Yeah, don't fuck with me on geography, dog. You know this.
But to your point though, Jay, the last 3 games we're averaging 39 points per game over the last 3. But in aggregate for all 7 games, it's 29 points per game. Now, if we keep it up where we're 28, 29 points per game the rest of the way, which is where we're at right now. So as long as you don't fall off too much, you should be able to exceed last year's historic low by 4, 5, 6 points, depending on where you're at. But it's like the Jekyll and Hyde. The first 4 was worse than last year. The last 3 is that last 3 game sample of 39 points per game. Like, without going into really deep stats, I don't even know the last time we averaged 39 points a game in any 3-point stretch of recent memory. Because I could think of even when Chris was here, we won 66-7. But I think the first game was 38, but then the next game was like 10 at Ohio State. So I don't even think that was. I mean, maybe. So I think it's so much Jekyll and Hyde. Like I got to see more again with Longo against good defenses instead of Longo versus whatever we just saw for 3 games. I believe in him. I'm coming around on him. Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I'm just optimistic as well too, because I think that they're doing the things that we were asking them to do now, and like that's the whole growth that Dylan was saying. Like, look, like, are we trending up? Yes, we are right now.
Speaking of growth mindset, and I'll leave it at this before we turn it over to finish with our big dogs of the week. 2 penalties today for 15 yards.
Great, love to see that.
That'll do. That's where this team has grown so much from last year.
Last year we were getting
100 different ways to beat themselves a year ago when they weren't good enough to overcome it, and they're not beating themselves anymore. And I think that's huge. That's what will give you a chance against some of these people on the schedule if you can play clean football like that.
The biggest thing is the offensive line. We were averaging probably 4 to 6 penalties a game on the O-line alone last year.
Jack Nelson, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Jack Nelson's having a year.
He is. Hey,
Coos guy.
No, you know what? Credit where credit's due. He's playing very well this year.
That's 2 weeks in a row. I think you've given him a shout out.
Hey, as much as I hate, dude, prove me wrong.
Coop's in a growth mindset.
That's right.
So let's
before
get
you
into
get to the big dogs, can you just take just a minute or so and go over like those coaching gaffes? Because if there was another head coach that was here,
yeah, I need to grab a beer.
We would have lost our mind that we're punting from the opposite, and to take 2 timeouts to do it, and to still punt from the positive. Like,
yep.
We love Fickell. We love that he's recruiting a lot better. We love that we're getting new systems. But when the butts get tight, it seems like we get super duper conservative, and even like I don't even know the correct word because I don't want to be disrespectful. But what are we doing? Like taking timeouts just to punt the ball, like in a game that matters when you're not up. Like taking 2 timeouts in one game to punt balls, like not the greatest idea as a head coach.
Opponents. 40
yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that he's got a long way to go as far as like in-game coaching decisions or like on-the-fly coaching decisions for me to feel comfortable that he's a difference maker in that capacity. Yeah, I haven't been overly impressed with. And that's not just a today thing. I think there's a lot of games that you could point to So that is actually a concern for me. I've said before, I in a lot of cases have not felt like Wisconsin has had the coaching advantage in many matchups, and I don't know that we do, at least when it comes down to crunch time. We got to hire one of those fucking wizards that are like really good at like clock management, those kind of decisions. Like get Luke Fickell, like a hold me back guy on the sideline who can just be in his ear, about how to manage some of those situations. That's what we need.
I mean, like, it's just math. Like you go for it there.
Well, you could also ask an 8-year-old. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but he could literally ask his kids who probably play Madden, "Hey, Dad, do you think we should kick from the 40-yard line?" I don't know. Well, do you want to take a timeout just to think about it? Like either do it or don't do it. And I get what you're saying. Like we want to see growth from him, but I just Googled him quick. Carry the one. He's coached. I'm not good at math. 99. 109 games of college football as a head coach, 109 games. Like at what point you either have it or you don't. And I'm fine. Like if we want to give him space because of all the things he's doing, I'm never going to kill a coach just for one thing, one of their shortcomings. But man, we were really loud when Paul Chryst was punting from the 40-yard line and getting real vocal about how the game had passed him by to only do the same thing and then explain it away with, oh, well, maybe he just needs to hire a nerd. It's like he has twice as many people on staff than Chryst ever had. Like, can one of those people do it then? Because at some point, that's going to kill you in a game.
That's totally fair.
Yeah, it worked out today, though.
Yeah, because it's Northwestern who scored how many pass yards, Dylan?
They had like
82.
82. Okay.
Yeah, 82 more than we had today. So let's get into our final segment here, Big Dogs of the Week. Ryan, I want to throw it over to you first. Who do you got coming out of today?
Yeah, my guy actually didn't suit up for the team, but just all vibes guy. My big dog of the week is Brady Collins, who jumped in Lake Michigan after the win. He told the boys he would go jump in the lake because that little parking lot stadium was on. For those that watched the game, you could see it was right on Lake Michigan. He told the boys that if they won the game, he would go jump in the lake, which I think Buddy just wanted to jump in the lake anyway. And because of that, like that's just ultimate guy. Like that's like saying, hey, if the sun comes up, I'm getting in this water. Like, that's the incentive the boys need to get you to jump in the water. You wanted to go in anyway. Ultimate vibes guy. Brady Collins, dog of the week.
Which he follows me on Twitter, really putting his job on the line with that.
Risky business.
Check his likes.
Some of Coop's thoughts are shocking, even for the
Hey, Elon Musk has saved a lot of asses with that. They hid the likes now. People can't see what you're liking.
That's big time.
Yeah, huge for the program.
Jay, you got a big dog for us this week?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go with maybe I just think like maybe a thankless guy, but I'm going with Darion Dupree. I think he was the perfect spell back today. Like get Tawi a blow. Like he had 11 carries for 40 yards and then had a catch for 26. So he's 66, all-purpose yards. I think he was effective when he got the ball. He didn't turn the ball over, and he showed a lot of wiggle. He showed a lot of that's somebody I'm excited for in the future and excited to see him get more touches because I think he's a really dynamic ball carrier and
he's a weapon.
I think he's going to be.
He showed some physicality today too.
Yeah, he's not shying away from contact.
No.
Absolutely not.
He's ready to run between the tackles, brother.
If he's able to add about 10 pounds during the offseason or something, I'd see like some Dobbins in him. He's got, like you said, that wiggle. He's explosive. He can catch passes with space. That guy can just do something, and he plays bigger than he is. I think that's a really good one. Really, really liked what I saw from Darion today.
When they throw a swing pass to a guy like him, it just looks so much different than when they were throwing it to Braylon Allen.
I was going to say, wouldn't you prefer it be to Jackson Aker on 3rd and 13?
I mean, like I thought when Dupree caught that ball, he was moving almost full speed. I thought he was going to score. Like that's how.
When he got that sideline, I was like, I don't know what he's about to do here.
Yeah,
anything is possible.
I haven't had a feeling like that in years, dude.
Yeah.
Coop, you got a big dog for us this week?
I do, dude. Another running back, the OG big dog on this podcast, the biggest dog of them all. 3 weeks in a row, Twee Walker, dude, showing up to play. Didn't score today, but 23 carries.
Has he lost a step?
Right? 23 carries, 126 yards, 5.5 a pop. Also added, 2 receptions for 7 yards. So, little involvement in the passing game. But yeah, to me, it's got to be Twee. And then along with him, I feel like anytime we acknowledge a running back as a big dog, we got to thank the big boys up front, who we've talked about plenty.
Yep.
So that's my kind of co-big dogs of the week. Twee Walker and just the entire running game. But that's what we're supposed to do. Against a team like this, and they had a decent defense, decent defensive line, so it makes you feel better about it. But yeah, shout out Twee. Love to see him fucking balling.
What I absolutely love here is that we're going with 4 different people in this football program today.
This might be a first.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I'm going to give mine to Atticus Bertram's. 4 punts today, 192 yards for an average of 48 yards a punt, a long of 57. He had 1 inside the 20. This Aussie can fucking punt, and I'm here for it. He's got a nuke attached to his leg, and
he'll be punting on Sundays. You think? I do.
I think. Obviously there are different candidates, but I think he might be one of the most improved players on this roster from year to year. Because last year I thought we got the only Australian punter who
can't kick.
and he has
ours is broken.
Yeah.
Well, he had one this year. He kicked into like the 15th row.
I was in the press box for that one, and I like the amount of laughs that had come out. That was not his finest moment, but
hey, he's played well though.
Big dog of the week. I
love that.
The special teams, and that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for making Talkin Badgers part of your week, and we'll catch you back here on Tuesday on Wisconsin.